record this. So the law of two literally talks about finding someone who sees the good in you and surrounding yourself with at least one other person that sees the good in you, and that someone who sees the good in you. Just all you need is one person, and it can change everything about your life. And those of you that were at the Rebuild event on Saturday, I shared, very wholeheartedly about my friend Janet and how she was, she is that person for me, who I can say, she sees the good in me. She's the one that will sow into me, and she's the one that will, always edify and encourage, and, and sometimes all you need is that one person. And it doesn't even matter sometimes who else is against you. If you have that one person who can just be there, riding for you and believing in you, it can have a big effect. It's a big seed that will start to grow. What was your personal take on it, Brenda? Was there anything that you thought to yourself from reading that chapter that, okay, this part applies to me, or this bit I can use, or this is where I am using this? Or I know you referred to mentorship. Is that something that came to your mind when you was thinking about it?
Yeah, I was wondering about the people that feed into me, that pour into me. And it took me down a different frame of thinking. I was looking at what people say to me and what I'm benefiting from, what certain people are telling me. Are they telling me things that I'm sort of thinking, wow, or am I just hearing repetitive stuff that's not pushing me, that's not doing anything else for me? So I was looking at people in my life who talk to me, but are they really talking to me, if you see what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's where I was going. But it's one of those, I actually got that book in February when you mentioned it before. But it's one of those books, even though it's short, you've got to read it over and over. And every time you read it, you get something else, something else. So yeah, this is my second time going through the book again. So
fabulous. Thank you for that. Powerful, powerful. If you've read the book, put a 7 in the chat. If you've read up to, or the chapters up to chapter 4. Michelle, will come to you next. What chapter up to chapter 4 do you want to, are you excited about, or see if I can unmute you there.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, so I've got several things highlighted. The first one that really stood out to me, we discussed this last week, was the law of difference. And when I read it again, I think it hit me differently because I've got 2 teenage girls. So it says here that your similarity creates your comfort, and your difference creates your rewards. And as teenagers, they always want to fit in. They don't want to stand out from anyone else. People are almost afraid to stand out because, they'll be ridiculed. So the first time I read it, I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. The second time I read it, I thought, no, this applies to the girls. They need to hear this. I need to repeat it. So I kind of wrote this little thing here, and it says, at some point, we all want to fit in, but that will not help us to excel. The thing that makes you different, makes you weird, makes you unique, is what will bring your biggest rewards in your life. And, I just thought that was a really powerful message, because, yeah, not just teenage girls, everyone just wants to be normal and just wants to fit in. But, nothing grows in your comfort zone. You have to let go of that. So I really like that chapter. And the law of recognition. Now, this one, I might be analyzing it in a different way because of conversations I've been having recently with friends. And it says, anything you fail to recognize will exit your life. Yeah. So when I read that, I was just like, we need to recognize and we need to appreciate what we have, but it's also for others to realize, to appreciate you, because if you don't if they don't appreciate you, they have to realize that they could lose you. And if you don't appreciate your mentors, your partners, your friends, anybody that pours into you, you could possibly lose them as well. So I thought that was that one hit me in a different way. Yeah. people need to be recognized for sure.
Yeah, I think the first one you mentioned, which was the law of difference.
The law of difference, yeah.
I think that's such a powerful law. And you articulated it so well in the sense of we all want to fit in. No one wants to look out of place. No one wants to feel like they are different. But it's funny how the most successful people and the people that we know as famous kind of thing are successful, are famous because they were different. So Venus and Serena blew up, not just because of their tennis, but because of their hair. They had the beads when they first came out. Nobody on the tennis court ever had green and white and beads. The dresses were all fitted and tight. They had big bottom, big muscles. All the girls before them were skinny and white. Let's be honest. There were no, like, it was their difference that got the crowd behind them, that gave them even the momentum to train more, to be more, to want to win. Like, Serena retired last season from Wimbledon as the best tennis player in history for a woman. But on her first Grand Slam, she looked like no other tennis player of the kind. You guys, we're all old enough to remember when Serena first came out, right? Who remembers it? But they could have easily felt like, oh, but wasn't it great? Let's go back to that law of the two. That their dad was the one that pushed them to be different. Their dad was the one that pushed them and reaffirmed them. So they may not have felt out of place because they didn't even know, like, the way that he spoke to them, it was like, you got to do this and you got to do that. And he almost guided them away from thinking that they were different, but they came out there in their own identity. I remember watching tennis. I didn't even know if they were good, bad, or indifferent, but I was like, yo, I want to be like these black girls. Me and my sister were like, okay, you're Venus, I'm Serena. Like, we embodied them because they had something that no other tennis players had. And if you look at Oprah, she does the same thing. If you look at all of the, like, Obama, you know, they all have something different to what the world was seeing before. This is why Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, you look at some of these people, and the reason why they've blown up is not just talent alone, but it's because of the law of difference, what made them different. And so I think that is such a powerful thing, because how many of us, especially the ladies on this call, and I think also men as well, how many of us have ever had insecurities? You go around some other people, and yes, sometimes you go around some other people and it almost makes you raise the bar, because you're like, oh, okay, they're coming like that, are they? I better step up my game. I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be like, I want to look like the broke one, or I don't want to look like the, it makes you step up your game, but it can almost in the back of your mind make you feel less qualified, or make you feel like you don't fit in. I think we've all had a feeling of that at some point in our life, where we felt like, do we really fit here? That imposter syndrome. Can I really do this? Comparing to other people. But the law of difference says, can you own your difference? And can you be, not just own it, but can you boss in it? Can you thrive in your difference? Can you actually highlight your difference? Can you bring that difference to the forefront and be the best in that difference, rather than wanting to hide it away and hope nobody sees that you're different? That is a whole different paradigm of thinking. In fact, homework, your first homework, ladies and gentlemen, is I want you to list as many things as you can that makes you different from everybody else. Because we really want to be able to brand this stuff. We really want to be able to bring this stuff to life so you can actually see. And it's funny, I was speaking to one of my girls, Jamila, this morning, and she told me a few points, and I literally turned her story inside out. And she was like, oh my God, Nikki, you told my story better than me. Oh my God, Nikki, like, I'd actually buy from you if you were telling that story to me. I'm like, but it's your story. So you got to get good at telling your story. So first set of homework is to write a list of all the things that make you different from everybody else. And then you're going to learn how to leverage those differences. Then you're going to learn how to tell that story in a way that gives you that edge. You see, my edge, no one can't copyright my story. When I say my baby father left me pregnant on the floor with one child, one on the way, I mean, you can hear my content all day, every day, but go duplicate it. Because if that's not your story, it's very rare that you're going to be able to copy me. That's my story. That's what makes me different from most people. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be somebody else who's got a similar story or blah, blah, blah. But how about your story? When you're telling your story, what is going to make you stand out? What's going to make you different? Because that's why people are going to connect with you. So I think that law is a powerful law. If you can get your grips around it, if you can get hold of that law and really dive deep into it, I think it is a powerful, powerful law. Now, the second one, Michelle, whatever you don't want, you lose.
Anything you fail to recognize will exit your life. Yeah.
Listen, that is a law. It is. How many of you have ever felt lack of appreciation at work? And you know, sometimes recognition is a double-edged sword, because someone at work recognizes somebody for something that you've done. You're like, hold up, well, that was me. No one recognized me. But how come this person is getting recognized? But here's the thing about that. Sometimes that person needed that recognition because their journey is different to yours, right? But at the time, or in perspective, it looks like favoritism, or it looks like, what's the word? It looks like unfair appraisals or whatever. But I think we all have a need for recognition. I mean, I've kind of got to a place where my recognition's in my paycheck. My recognition is seeing my children happy. My recognition is seeing them, you know, in nice clothes and going to a good school and living in. I don't need external recognition that anymore. You know, it's nice to have, but I don't crave it. Some people crave it. Some people crave, you know, the applause. Some people crave certain things, and that's fine, because recognition is beautiful. You know, we had a great recognition ceremony in Orlando. You know, I think David spent probably the best part of an afternoon recognizing people, because he understands how important it is for people to be recognized. But on the flip side of that, if you fail to recognize, it can, let me tell you this, I'll give you a quick example. So when I first moved into my house here in St. Leonard's, going back three years ago now, I remember having a private birthday party for my daughter. She's 7 this year, so 654. She turned 4, right? And I remember having this birthday party for her. And I thought, it's my house. You know, I'm just going to have her school friends here. It's not a big deal. Not that I have to justify who I invite to my home and who I don't. Some of you know that I did have a burglary like over 10 years ago. And for that reason, I'm very specific who comes into my house. And I invited, you know, my daughter's school friends, and they came round. You know, a couple other family members, and that was it, one friend. And a girl who was in my team at the time sent me a text message and said, I can't believe you didn't invite me to your daughter's birthday party. And she blocked me, deleted me, and quit the business. She was that offended that she didn't get invited to the birthday party that she left the business. I also had somebody who messaged me the day after their birthday and said, I can't believe you didn't say happy birthday to me. I said, I did say happy birthday to you. If you look, it's in the chat, you can see it there. And I messaged you privately. She said, no, but you didn't put it in all 4 of the chats. You only put it in one chat. And I was like, I'm not sure. She didn't speak to me for 3 months because I didn't say happy birthday to her in all chats. Some people crave recognition, you know, so I realized that. And I lost 2 people because I didn't recognize them. Now, you know, guys, we live busy lives, and if it's important, you do it. But we've got to understand that some people crave that. And also as well, on the flip side of mentorship, if you don't see somebody, what do they say? Out of sight, out of mind. So if you fail to recognize and honor mentorship, then it's out of sight, out of mind type of thing. And it can, you know, reduce access. You know, we spoke about honor is the seed of access. We spoke about that last week. But it's similar stuff. And, you know, I'm sure we can all pull references to different situations, different, you know, people that we've had connections with. And even sometimes it's not even like a bad thing. It's just life gets busy. If you had a friend that you really liked, you didn't have an argument with them or nothing, but life has just got busy. You're like, oh, I haven't spoken to them for 7 months. And they haven't spoken to you for a year. But the lack of recognition on both sides just means that you've slowly exited each other's life and nothing's happened. Maybe you might bump into them and everything's fine. But there has to be that it is a law that whatever you fail to recognize leaves your life. And so here's what we want to say is we want to be aware that if we care enough, we make it important to recognize. If it's important enough, if that person is important enough, if that relationship is important enough, diarize. Something that I do, you know, that helps me because guys, I'm busy right now. I'm running 6 businesses, right? 6. And it gets busy. I've got different teams in different places. I've got so many things happening. And so I have to diarize, even if it's something simple, like such and such is going to, you know, hospital. They're not well. I've got to put it in my diary as a reminder, check that that person is okay from the hospital because it's important to me. I've got to make sure that I remember these things. Don't depend on your memory. Don't be memory dependent on something that is important. Someone may say, but Nikki, if you cared enough, you remember. Well, no, I care enough to put a reminder in my diary so that I don't forget, right? And put notes in your diary, not just for appointments or, you know, Zoom calls, but put notes in your diary. If someone mentions something, you know, my daughter's unwell, my daughter's in the hospital, this is happening, that's happening, put a note in your diary to actually go back and check if you care enough. If you care enough, then follow up. And this is something I'm going to be teaching in the Rebuild Workshop Part 2, which is around following up and feeding back and how to, you know, be really good at following up relationship-wise, business and personal. But following up is so important. You know, we've got to get to a place where we don't just depend on our memories. Does that make sense, guys? So I think that those 2 laws are really powerful. Whatever we fail to, you know, appreciate will leave our life. And of course, you know, that law, the law of difference. I think that's one of my favorites. I mean, they're all my favorites, but the law of difference is definitely a favorite because I always felt ugly. I always felt like the different one and the weird one. And so the law of difference almost gives you that autonomy and authority to be who you are unapologetically and to really own it. And I think there's a lot of people that have been scared to be who they are. Identity crises, life happening, you know, you evolve. Sometimes we people please as well. Like I remember in the corporate world, I'm being who they want me to be there because that's what they expect of me. So I change the way I do my hair. I make sure my clothes is just a little bit, even the way I speak, I make sure that I'm pronouncing my words correctly because that's how they expect me to speak. But that's not really who I am. And slowly but surely that job changed who I was because I had to do that to fit in, right? And the book, someone type it in again for me. It's 7 Laws You Must Honor to Have Uncommon Success by Dr. Mike Murdoch. Powerful book, very short book, but it's a powerful, powerful book, dear, and you'll absolutely love it. Okay, so order it. Fabulous book, right? And so I noticed that, you know, being in that corporate job, changed me. When I was on the market stall, guys, right, it changed me. I'm on the market stall when I was like 13, my first job, and I'm on there, panda scoop, anyone want some bananas, all a pound, last clearance, come on now, sweet as a nut, Bob goes your uncle. I'm talking like that, mate, because guess what? I'm doing what everybody else is doing. And so I'm out there, all a pound, anything you want, just a pound. And I'm doing all of that on Lucian Market at 13 years old, right? And at them times, you didn't see no black girls on the market. I was the only one. And they're like, who is this woman? She just sounds like a proper white girl. And I was on there, pound, all a pound. When I went home, I was saying to my mum, boy, I'm tired. I'm tired of Kiambada. And at home, I'm my natural whatever, but in the market, I'm all a pound. And then I go to the corporate job and I'm like, okay, everybody, if we can all make sure we have our sheets ready. And it's a whole bag of confusion, right? How many of you got great grandparents that all of a sudden they speak the best Queen's English when they're outside, and you're like, you don't speak like that at home? Like, what? Your voice has gone all high, you're gone all speaky spooky. That's not the way you speak at home. At home, you're like, what? Yeah. when you're outside, so how much are those tomatoes, sir? If you hear my grandma, she speaks the Queen's English when she's out. It's so funny. But sometimes you can be putting on all these different things and you lose yourself. Also, as well, you can be in, relationships that make you change. How many of you have ever dressed a certain type of way because that's what a partner wants you to do? I used to do that, right? I used to wear certain things because that's what my partner used to want me to wear. Like, I had my ex who wanted me to dress up in sexy lingerie every single night. Pressure. I tell you, cream in my arms every night before I'm going to bed. I'm melting. Cocoa butter is making me sweat like a donkey. I am melting. All because this guy had this pressure on me. I'm giving you guys too much information. But he had a six-pack. And that made me hella insecure because I was just like, yo, you date a guy with a six-pack, you better come correct. And he used to put like the little things on the bed, so he used to tell me what to wear. And I'm like, yo, the pressure. So next minute, I am this every night. I was overthinking it, like, oh my God, what am I going to put on tonight? Oh, I wore that last night. I'm washing like crazy. It was just insane. And then, I went to an older guy and he was just relaxed. Big old jumpers, polo necks, it didn't matter. So it's like, I lost who I was because I was doing all of this to please all these people. And then and so that law of difference reminded me, like, who are you? Do you know most people are having an identity crisis because they're just fitting in with who everybody else wants them to be? I challenge you tonight, second homework, to ask yourself, who are you really? Who are you really? How do you speak? What's your voice? How do you dress? What's your purpose? What's your mission? The law of difference says embrace who you are, but you got to know who you are in order to embrace who you are. Powerful, powerful piece of something. I tell you, that freed me, guys. That freed me. I'm the accessory girl. I'm the girl that likes red. I remember loving red. And I remember when I broke up with my ex and I got together with somebody else who was like, oh, you like bright colors too much. So guess what I stopped doing? I stopped wearing red. But then when we broke up, I was like, I actually love red. Red is my color. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going back to red. Because that's what I like. And I almost forgot what I like. And that doesn't mean you don't compromise in relationships. It doesn't mean you don't give and take. But if you're giving and taking at the expense of your identity, that's where there becomes a problem. You got to know who you are. So thank you for that. Who was that one? That was Michelle. That was a powerful, powerful, powerful one. We have time for one more. Who has read any parts up to chapter 4 that wants to come on and just give, I see Belinda's got her hand up. Let's see what we've got here. See if you can unmute yourself, sis. My husband's family always wanted me to cover up. That's your, hold up, Belinda. That's your husband's family. So you have your husband and then you have your husband's family. So for me, I would not necessarily do what my husband's family want me to do. It's between, like, at bare most, it's between me and my husband where I went. Do you know what I mean? Because extending those decisions out to the family is like, you know, they say too many chefs in the kitchen. Like, no, we ain't playing that game. And so yeah, that's a bit too into the thing, too into the thing. Family members, they're actually relatives. They're not family. They're relatives. Remember that. You know, I believe that you leave and cleave. So family members are now relatives. You are the family. You and your household are family. They are relatives. Talk to me, Belinda. What are you saying?
Okay, guys.
Yeah, you guys are getting all marital advice up in here today. Right? Go for it, girl. Go for it.
I was looking at chapter 3. I haven't reached chapter 4 yet. But chapter 3, it was talking about humility.
Yeah, tell us the law, babe. What's the law?
It's the law of recognition still.
Yeah.
And it talks about humility, and it says humility is not a personality trait. Humility is not intimidation. Humility is the recognition of what you do not have. Humility causes you to search. Those who never ask questions, research, or read are often arrogant. Proof of humility is the willingness to ask questions. And that stood out to me, because, like, sometimes you get in a place where you're trying to figure it out all by yourself. And when he said it's arrogance, I was like, huh? Arrogance? Like, obviously you kind of like just try and figure it out. You don't ask too much questions. You think, oh God, there's got to be a way for me to get around this. So when he says, like, you never ask questions, those who never ask questions, research, or read are often arrogant. Proof of humility, is the willingness to ask questions. And I was like, wow, okay. So I made some notes on that, and I thought to myself, okay, so basically it's like searching for more knowledge, like seeking knowledge from those who have the answers and asking questions and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So yeah, so that was new to me. So I thought I'd share it.
It's a powerful one. Again, yes, as you said, it falls in the law of recognition. But humility in asking questions. It's funny because people wouldn't necessarily associate having an ego with not asking questions. But it is. To humble yourself to ask a question means that you are admitting that you don't have all the answers, and you're willing to be vulnerable to somebody else who can provide those answers. When you choose not to ask the question, it is a sign of a lack of humility because you don't want to be vulnerable to somebody else. That's where the idea comes from with that law. So if you want to figure things out all by yourself without asking any questions, it could be, now how many of us have ever been here? I ain't asking nobody for nothing. Every time I ask people, they throw it in my face. When I ask somebody to do something, they always throw it in my face. I'm not asking anybody to do anything for me. That I'm done with that. I'd rather struggle on my own. How many of us have ever said that? And we were even taught that. Those paradigms from our parents. Don't tell anybody about anything outside this house. People will use it against you. They're going to take advantage of you. Don't you dare talk to strangers. You only, like, all these paradigms have been sewn into us not to speak to strangers, not to ask questions, not to seek help, not like, how many of us have been told from, you know, or even the ideas been sewn into our mind that if you get therapy or counseling, you're crazy, right? I used to think that therapy and counseling was for crazy people. It's only when I grew up, like older, I was realizing that no, you can be naturally healthy. You can even not have any problems and still seek therapy, still get counsel. You don't have to have problems. You don't have to be mentally unstable to get counseling. But these seeds have been sown into our minds that we should figure things out all by ourselves. But no man is an island. You know, why would we want to figure things out all by ourselves when we're better off collaborating and working together? Why wouldn't we seek advice from experts? Why wouldn't we? The reason why we wouldn't, because we've been hurt before. We have trust issues. We keep thinking about the past instead of the future. Come on now, somebody tell me a situation that you can remember where you wish you didn't share that thing with that person because they went and broke your trust, or because they went and threw it in your face, or because they went and talked to somebody, helped you, and then they went and spoken to it to everybody around town. And so you hold back and you think, okay, I'm not going to trust anyone like that again. No one's going to get that vulnerable part of me again. So I won't ask questions. And instead, what happens? We suffer in silence. Now, I said something on the workshop on Saturday, and I'm going to repeat it again today. Do not allow those negative experiences and those people that did you wrong to change you. Don't allow what happened to you to change you to be a different person. Meaning you used to give, you used to help, you used to love. And because somebody hurt you, it's almost like when I broke up with my ex, I was like, hey, what? No more man. I don't want no more man. In fact, I don't want no more black men. I might go white. I might go lesbian. I don't want to. Like, you start to tell yourself that you're going to change completely because of a bad experience, or like one bad experience. Another bad experience may have happened. You may say, but Nikki, it's not one. I've had 5, 6. They're all isolated. They're all separate. You know, when I went through my cognitive therapy, I was grouping all these incidences together. My therapist was like, Nikki, they're all separate incidences. They're not related. And you keep combining everything together. You're like, 20 things happened to me this year. No, one thing happened and something else happened. They're not related incidences. And stop grouping everything together and saying everybody can't be trusted, everybody's against me, and everybody is negative and I can't trust anybody. No, you've had a few negative experiences, had a few people break your trust. You've had a few people that have shared a secret that they shouldn't have. You've had a few people do this. But there's 8 billion people in the world. And now you got to humble yourself and say that there is going to be good people that come into my life. And I can trust again. And I can lean on somebody to tell them something. I can share that part of me and believe that that person has my back. Listen, sometimes if you keep it all in, it will turn you crazy. Have you ever had something in your head that you need to talk to someone and you're like, listen, if I don't let this out, I think it's going to make me go crazy. And sometimes when you do talk about it, you realize it's not even as bad as what you had in your head. Once you start letting it out and you're speaking to the right person who can counsel you, and they ask you the right questions, you then realize that A, you may have a solution that you didn't think of, or B, it's not as bad as you once thought. Come on now, somebody, talk to me. So that law is powerful. It's a very, very powerful law. I mean, all of them are. But if you can apply it to yourself and really open up that law and really decide to yourself that I think trust is something that, we've spoken about before. I haven't gone into depth. We did that circle of trust, didn't we? Do you guys remember that a few weeks back, maybe a couple of months back, where we did the circle of trust? And you've got right in the middle, your inner circle, your confidence, the people that you trust with your life, you trust them with, and as the circles go out, you have, less access to you, so to speak, right? And so remember that you can trust people to a certain extent, depending on the relationship that you have with them. But to say that you don't trust, I mean, we had at the workshop on Saturday, someone literally got up and he says, I trust no Black people. I will never work with Black people because they can't be trusted, and this and that and that and that. And it was like, let's put this into perspective, bro. Like, you've had a few incidences with a few Black people, but that doesn't mean that every Black person doesn't deserve your trust. I mean, the room was full of positive. It was so ironic. It was like you're talking to all these like positive, business-minded, personally developed, really skilled business people. and a lot of them were black. So it's like, I was just like, you cannot think like that. And then somebody else got up and agreed with him. She was like, look, in my job, I'll never offer a black person a job again because this one black girl did this and this and this. And I was like, one person did that. And so you've written off the whole, you know, the whole human race. And sometimes we got to put things into perspective. You know, pain is one of those things that can really fuel us to be derailed if we're not, you know, if we're not careful. So I absolutely love that law, right? He was definitely once bitten, twice shy. Yes, he was, Karen. And I was opening it up to everybody else, thinking someone would come and counteract. And the woman that came on and agreed with him. She was like, yes, I don't do nothing. And I was like, is someone going to stand here and just put it into perspective? Let's put things into perspective. Everybody is not untrustworthy. And that doesn't mean we haven't been through some stuff, but it means that we don't allow our past to affect our future. Have you guys ever seen this? Especially, you know, you see this with the whole, you know, men's table talk that they have. And they say this a lot, that women come into their relationships with baggage from their ex. You guys have heard that, right? And so when the men are having this table talk, they believe that when they're dating women, they're coming with these broken, you know, methodologies. They're coming with heartbreak. They're coming with, like, you know, all of this stuff, baggage from the past, and then it affects them in their new relationship. And it's so bad because a lot of the time as women, sometimes we do things like that. You know, someone's like, never again. How many of us has ever said that? Never again. Like, ain't no man getting that from me again. And it's like, oh my God, you know, and you know, my husband actually said to me one time, I feel like I've got the short straw. The last guy sounded like he got everything. And that comment was like, oh my God, I got to do better, because we can really carry some of this old stuff and not realize that, you know, you cannot, you know, you cannot hurt a new relationship because of past ones. And that's why we need to heal. That's why we need to get to a place where we are putting things into perspective, so that we can, number one, appreciate law of recognition. We can appreciate what we have. We're not judging things by past. We're not using our own insecurities to, you know, judge new people or new situations, but also that we can recognize that sometimes we can block our blessings. We can actually block our blessings because of a lack of trust, right? And I'll wrap up by saying this. So I had a dream, right? And when God gives me a dream, I'm very obedient to the dream. And so I had a dream, and God told me to bless 5 individuals, 5 people of God. And I think I've shared this story, but I'm going to share it again. Now, the place that God has got me right now is to pour into leaders of leaders. And he's spoken to me very clearly that there is an anointing on my life to pour into leaders of leaders, right? And so when I got this dream, it was like, you need to sow into 5 of these. And he gave me specifically the 5 leaders to contact. And I contacted these 5 leaders, and I had the specific download from God what to sow, right? Now, one of them, you guys ain't going to believe this. One of them, God had downloaded me to sow £5,000 to this guy, right? Now, I don't know him from nowhere. I don't know him from anywhere. I just followed him on Instagram, and I was like, and he's launching something big. And I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this is what God wants me to do. So I've messaged him, and I've said, you know, we've been following each other for a while. You don't know me. I don't know you. You've never spoken. But God has told me to bless you. He's told me to sow into your life, right? Are you available for me to call you today? And he was like, I'm not available today. I'm not available tomorrow, but here's my calendar. See if you can book in a time where we can talk. So I was like, cool. So I clicked the calendar, And the calendar didn't work. The calendar said website, like unauthorized block, like if the website just doesn't work. So I went back to him, like, this is me wanting to give this guy $5,000, begging to talk to him. And I'm like, mate, your website don't work. I've got a blessing for you. Can you just call me? Even just press the call button on Instagram now. We can talk. And he was like, okay, I'll get back to you. And up to today, he has not gotten back to me. Now, I'm saying this to say sometimes we can miss our own blessing because of a lack of trust, because of a lack of discipline, a lack of honor. Like you are somebody that is a leader of leaders. In fact, a man of God that's preaching and helping people. But there was a discernment that you missed. And that stood out to me because I don't know what God wanted to teach me with that. I respond to every DM that I get. I don't take it for granted. I love one of the definitions of a Christian is to love people, all people. That includes your enemies. That includes anyone that you feel like has done you wrong. That includes the good people. That includes the people that are broken. That includes everybody. So the standard is to love all people. And that situation for me, it convicted me. I was like, would I have done the same thing? Because it's easy to point fingers. When you start getting all socially, influency, do you lose your humility and start to, think that you're too good for people? Do you stop responding to people? Do you give one-word answers? Do you stop giving your character because you think that that person can't do anything for you? Do you treat some people better than some because of stature? Do you treat some people better than some because you believe they have something to give you and they don't? Can we get to a standard of loving all people? That convicted me. That situation convicted me. And so it urged me to level up with my love. It urged me to make sure that my heart is never judgmental to somebody that's reaching out for help. Because going back to that, the knowledge that we were talking about, if somebody has trust issues and they then say, you know what, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to ask for help. And then you're that one person that blocks them or rejects them or gives them barriers and boundaries, that could literally that could sow their death. They could never recover from that. And that was something that was very serious for me. So these laws, powerful, guys. We're 3 minutes over. But before we end, does anybody have anything to say regarding these laws? We're going to carry on the rest of the book for next week. Anybody have anything to say? Anybody have anything highlighted that they wanted to bring to the table that hasn't already been brought forward on these laws? I think it's a fabulous book. It is, after the Bible, it's my favorite book. It's my favorite book. It really is. I even mention it in my book as my favorite book. I think there was a hand up. Whose hand was just up? I think it's Joan. Joan, would you like to unmute, my sister?
Thank you. Thank you. It's a wonderful session. My take was I has gravitated to the law of the mind. I know we're over, but I'm just briefly, because the law of the mind is telling you that our mind is a battleground, and we go through so many things within our thinking, with our minds. We can always get the little things can bother us, and we need to really find a focus, and also to find people in our lives that we can look up to, that can help to guide us and help us to have that mindset that we can forward thinking. And lastly, this is just the quickly here, is the mind is your garden. So what you put into your garden, you put, you make a beautiful garden, you sow your seed. So what you start thinking is what you're going to resonate and you're going to project to the world. So we really need to take focus on to let our mindset be according to the things we want to project in life, the positive things.
Yes.
If we want to be an example to others also, if we want our children and our grandchildren to look up to us, we have to have that clear mindset. So that's just my little take on things for tonight.
Absolutely love that. I love that. We'll start with the law of the mind real quick. The law of the mind, when I first read the book, was my favorite chapter of all. And being mindset, you know, money and mindset mentor, I was like, yeah, this is the Lord. This is the Lord. Whatever you feed your mind will grow. And so if you start to see a harvest of negativity, we need to look at the seeds that have been sown. Power. And it's funny, I've had a few conversations this week with multiple people. And myself and Michelle had a couple hour conversations yesterday. And I think one of the things I said to Michelle was, what can you do? Because the law of the mind will tell us the situation. The mind will tell us what's happening. The mind will tell us what's going on. And we have to sow the seed of perspective and also the seed of an action goal. Now, if you were at the workshop, the difference between a performance goal and an action goal, who can tell me the difference? A performance goal versus an action goal. If you were at the workshop on Saturday, you should remember the difference. So that is Karen. I see Karen on, Charmaine, Bev, and Michelle. So which one of you want to tell me the difference between a performance goal and an action goal? You can go ahead and unmute yourself now.
Oh no, I forgot.
I can hear some rattling of papers.
I'm trying to check my notes. I forgot, Nikki. Sorry.
And let's see if we can get the right answer, right? Because the law of the mind is one of those things that will always, if we can really challenge our minds, all right, in this way, I promise you, 99% of our battles we can overcome using the law of the mind. And I think it was, you know, a great one that you pulled up, Joan, because everything starts with the mind. Everything starts with the mind, everything. And I think the law actually says that, you know, the mind needs a goal, it needs a focus, and it needs instructions, all right? It also needs light, movement, sound, conversations, pictures, all these things we feed our mind on a daily basis, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't care. It will just take it and put it into the soil. Bev, you can unmute. It allows you to unmute yourself. Performance goal versus action goal. I think Bev's hands up. Linda, you're unmuted. What are you saying?
Is the action goal is like something that you need to take action on, like you need to when you're going to do it. Was it when how, I'm trying to remember, but it's action. Basically, you've got to take action. That was the action goal.
Yeah. It's the action goal. So you, let me give you guys a clue.
I'm trying to remember if it was like something like was it when where or something like that. I can't remember. I wrote it down somewhere. I'm trying to find my notes.
What, how much, and by when?
That's it, girl.
So both the action goal and performance goal.
What you
Right, Charmaine's breaking up and Bev's on mute. So let's hear from
So-
Bev.
So is the performance goal the what?
No, the what, how much, by when is how you write the goal. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can write a performance goal like that, or you can write the action goal like that. So you should be writing all your goals like that.
So what is the action that you need to take in order to fulfill your goal? Is that right?
Close. I always want to give you the point. It's like, Bev, are you able to unmute yet? I think Bev has been dying to unmute. Hold on. Let's see. There you go. You're unmuted, honey. We can hear you. Go for it.
All right. I think the performance goal, it hasn't got a date, a completion time on it, but the action goal, you have a date. No?
I'm not laughing. Honestly, I'm not laughing. Okay, let me give you guys the answer. Both goals have a date. Okay, I'll just confirm that. So a performance goal is an outcome goal, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if a performance goal would be, I'm so happy and grateful now that by the 31st of December 2023, I am earning 100,000 a month. That is a performance goal, okay? It's an outcome, 100,000 a month. An action goal would be the things I need to do to get that 100,000 a month. So the action goal would be on every day, I am going to do a Zoom call for half an hour talking about my business at 9 p.m. That's the action goal. So the action goal is going to lead me to the performance goal, but the performance goal is not going to give you the outcome. So you need action goals to help you get to your performance goal. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Let me know if you need me to repeat that one more time. Okay, so why is this relevant to the law of the mind? Well, to the law of the mind is very simple. Your mind needs what? Focus. Your mind needs a focus. So if your mind is looking at your performance goal, right? Your mind is going to say, okay, I'm so happy and grateful now that I, Nikki Sutherland, is earning 100,000 a month. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm Michelle Genmi is earning 100,000 a month. So your mind is feeding on that, but that will not necessarily get you to the goal. What's going to get you to the goal is having an action goal that's going to say, here are the 5 things that I'm going to do to earn that 100,000 a month. So one of those things will be speaking to 10 people every single day, starting from tomorrow. Another thing will be, going on Instagram for half an hour every single day, right? So these are action goals, things that's going to get you things. Sitting there saying, I'm so happy and grateful now, I'm earning 100 grand is not an action. That is the performance goal. Does that make sense, guys? I want to make it clear so that we can go and set some action goals. Those of you that was at the workshop, you should have already set your action goals. But if you wasn't at the workshop, you need to set your action goals. Okay, that's homework number 3. Set your action goals so you have clear actions that you're going to do starting from tomorrow on your overall performance goal, right? 5 actions that you're going to take on that's going to help you get to your performance goal. This will help your mind because now you're feeding your mind the directions, the navigation numbers on what you have to do so you now have clarity. There was one more thing about the law of the mind that I wanted to just bring up, which was around having a hero. Your mind needs a hero. And I don't know if you guys remember that, especially women. Women need a hero. Where the men at on this call? If you're a man on the call, put 7 in the chat. Women need a hero, right? Let me tell you this. Men have a desire to be the hero. Women need to be rescued. I'll give you perfect examples. I see Sister Andrea laughing because she knows I am telling the truth. Women like to be rescued. We like our problems solved. We like you to, we're Rapunzel, hair hanging down, stuck in the tower, and just come and save me. Save me, please. Come and please save me. Your mind needs a hero. Women need a hero. Men need to feel needed. They need to be the rescuer, right? That's law, okay? I tell you this, I've been married twice, so I'm becoming an expert. But I only realized it in the second marriage. So here's how it works. Light bulb, the light bulb breaks, the light bulb goes, it's run out. Now here's the old me. The old me will get the ladder, climb up, change the light bulb, and what do? I diminish, I demasculate my hero. Because he is like, well, you don't need me. What Clark Kent isn't needed because you're being your own hero. Now I'm like, baby, the light bulb needs changing. Oh, baby, we're in the dark. Oh, you see, some of you ain't ready for this type of submission, but you don't understand it. You may be a boss at work, but at home, you got to understand the role. So, honey, baby, we're in the dark. The light bulb is gone. And then when he changes the light, Daddy's our hero. He's the lights are back on. Yay, Daddy changed the light. Right? We need to be rescued. Women on this call, stop demasculating. Stop taking the jobs. Stop taking the jobs. Allow your man to be your hero. I tell you this, right? Today, my husband took me shopping and I loved it. I could have paid. Come on. Women love to be rescued and men love to be the hero. Stop being too much. Women, let him be a hero. Allow him to be a hero. Okay? Sometimes you may have to ask more than once. Now, here's where some of us women go wrong. I'm going to close because this is going way off topic. So here's what we do. The light bulb goes and you said, honey, we're in the dark. He's like, oh yeah, babe, I'll change it. And then you see 4 hours go by, he hasn't changed it. You see he's sitting down watching TV, he's playing around with his phone. The next day, you're still in the dark and you're like, you know what? Screw this, I'm gonna just do it myself. Wrong! No, let's sit in the dark together. This is where you have to learn discipline. Know your role. Honey, it's still dark. Honey, I kicked my toe earlier because I couldn't see, and now my toe is kicked. I'm in pain. When are you going to change the light? When are you going to change the light? Now, let's go back to the law of recognition. He finally does it, and you don't recognize him. You don't recognize him because you're like, he should have done that long time ago, please. Like, I'm going to say thank you. Why does he want to thank you for something he should have done? No. Whatever you celebrate, appreciates. Write that down. If you're mad, listen, this is, we're on retreat type talk now. You guys need to be, this is retreat talk, okay? But I'm giving you guys some tea. I'm giving you some tips. Whatever you celebrate accelerates. So now, baby, thanks. Oh my gosh, you saved the day. Listen, I didn't think I could carry on with one more dark day. I'm so glad there's light, baby. I'm so glad there's light, baby. Thank you so much, baby. Do you want a cup of tea? Thank you, babes. That made my day. It's small things that make my day. Thank you, baby. Whatever you appreciate, appreciates. Whatever you celebrate, appreciates. Don't ever forget, guys, that everyone loves recognition, especially your man. Now, gents, plead the hero. Every woman needs a hero. Every woman wants you to fix stuff without her saying. Every woman wants you to just find a way to just make things happen. Don't give her the, this isn't working, that isn't happening. Women just want solution. They just want you to figure it out. They don't want you to even ask them sometimes. They want you to just say, baby, get ready at 7. We're going somewhere. Listen, I don't care if it's the park. My man's taking me out. Let's go. Right? Baby, you know that tap that was dripping? I'll just let you know I fixed it. Oh, baby, thank you. I didn't even want to mention it. This time the tap's been bothering you for 4 months. I didn't want to mention it, but yes. Oh, you noticed that? I didn't even really know. I didn't notice that last week. Oh, you're so good. Thank you, babes. Proactivity is one of women's love languages. That's a tip. Be proactive. And for women, don't demasculate your man. Let him be the hero. That's what the good book says. and I like to follow the good book. So with that being said, you have your homework, guys. What is your homework? You're going to list out all the things that make you weird, awkward, that stand out, that make you different. We're going to really strive with the law of difference. The second piece of homework, what was it? Second piece of homework, I gave you a second piece. Michelle, what was the second piece of homework? Second piece of homework. And the third piece was your action goals, right? Who am I really? There you go, right? So really make sure we get this homework done, guys. I'm excited to hear your testimonies next week. I will be pulling you up next week to share. Remember the 48-hour rule? Whatever you don't do in the first 48 hours is probably not going to get done. Put a notification in your phone now. If it's important, you'll make it happen. If it's important, you'll diarize it to set an alarm to wake you up, to remind you to make it happen. You will not just depend on your memory. These are things that are powerful, guys. I'm so grateful that you've been on here. We've gone over, but hopefully you found this session beautiful. So what I want to do before you go is I want, if you're able to just unmute, okay, and give me your number one takeaway for today. Now, if somebody else says it, you're not allowed to repeat it. So that means you've got to be listening really, really good. And that means if the earlier you go, the better it is that you'll be, because then it gets harder as we go. So unmute yourself. Whoever says their name will go.
Right, I'm ready.
Belinda.
Michelle.
Okay, so I heard Michelle, then I heard Belinda. Go for it.
Right, so my takeaway is, honestly, do not what was the word you used?
Demasculate. I don't know if it's a word. It's a Nikki word, but
Well, yeah, that one. Do not demasculate your man, because I think as modern women, also as West Indian women, we are taught to be very strong, very independent. And then when you come across a man that actually wants to be a stand-up man, you clash. And I'm talking from experience. So that part, do not demasculate my husband, because yeah, I tend to just, like you said, I just get up and do it and then cuss afterwards because he hasn't done it. I'm gonna stop doing it.
There we go. Yes. All right. Belinda, you're up next. You can't repeat what Michelle said. Let's go.
I like when Michelle spoke about anything that you fail to recognize will exit your life. And I think it's a good point, because, you know, recognition, as you said, is like key. Everyone likes recognition. So it's something we need to take into consideration, that, you know, recognize what we want to stay around and value people. So yeah, that's me.
Love it, love it, love it. Who wants to go next? Say your name.
Karen.
Go for it, Karen. You can't repeat what Karen, what the last two said.
Sorry?
So just one thing, and you can't repeat what the last two people have said.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So for me is my takeaway is, you know, listing out what makes me different, because as was said, as you mentioned earlier, it's the what makes all these, you know, celebrities and these well-known people great and successful is their difference, and we are drawn to their differences. So for me, my takeaway is listing out what makes me different.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Karen. Love it, love it, love it. Who wants to unmute?
Brenda.
Brenda. I hear you, Brenda.
Yeah. My one will be the homework, the second one. Who am I really? You know, talking about your purpose and your mission. That's always been a big one for me. Up even to this day, I have to ask my husband, who do you think I am? I've never thought about it myself. So that's going to be a very interesting piece of homework for me.
I'm excited to hear you next week. Let's go. Okay, say your name. I hear Bev.
Joan.
Yeah.
I heard Bev, so we go Bev, then Joan. Go for it.
Mine was not to let negative experiences change you.
Yes, love that one.
Yeah.
Love that one. Thank you, Bev. Thank you. Joan.
If you can manage your mind, you can manage your life.
Ooh, yes. Love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it. Who else? Say your name.
Dion.
Hey, Dion.
Hi. It's sort of two things. I think it was John who mentioned that your mind is a garden, or using that
Analogy.
describe the analogy. Yeah, to so whatever you see, whatever seed you put in it, you know, so if you put in like negativity, that's what you'll see, or that's what will grow. And the other one was whatever you celebrate, appreciate.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who else do we have? We have left Isaiah, Simone, Andrea, and Gary. Who wants to go next? Just unmute and say your name. Andrea, Gary, Isaiah, Simone.
Okay, Simone, I took from today's session, but I think it's already been spoken about.
You can't say, no. You can't say what's already been said.
Oh, all right. Every woman needs a hero.
You see, that was the law of the mind. You told yourself you had to repeat. You didn't. I love it. Well done, Simone. Every woman needs a hero. Love it, love it, love it. I think, is that Andrea or Gary that's unmuted first? Who's going first?
But Gary is exiting the room.
You touch a sore subject.
That's exactly what I was going to say about everyone needs a hero, and he's exiting the room. No, but oh my gosh, all the ones I wanted to say have been said. But I'd actually say it's the hero. I'm repeating that one.
See if you can pull out something else. Pull out something else. You can.
I'm pulling something. Stop. Sorry, I've got so many distractions here today. Yes. But what you feed the mind will actually materialize. So
I think we've had that one.
Oh God.
It gets harder.
It does get harder because all the ones I'm thinking of have been said.
Go on, see if you can dig one out. I think we've got Isaiah last. Hopefully he can think of one.
Sorry?
I said Isaiah's the last one after you, so I think it might be pressure on him if you can think of one.
Yes. Oh gosh. What else did I write? Accelerates by be proactive and do action. Okay. I know I've made a few notes, but it's all about actions and performance goals and things like that. So
we haven't had that one. We haven't had that one.
Oh gosh. Make you look at your differences and appreciate your differences and appreciate the differences in others.
I think we've had that one.
Oh gosh. Oh, I think it's all been said then. The action goals, performance goals.
Yeah, that hasn't been said. That hasn't been said.
Oh, the action goals and the performance goals.
It hasn't been said, no.
Oh, okay. So you set out your performance goals with dates on them and basically what actions you're going to take to actually achieve those performance goals. Gosh, finally.
Isaiah, can you make it a full rounded call? Can you think of anything else? You are going to make the whole team win if you pluck something out. No pressure, sir.
No pressure. So what I got from the live was women want you to fix stuff without her saying.
Yeah.
And proactivity is a woman's love language. Those are the two things that I got.
Yeah. Guys, give yourself a round of applause. We did it. I'll see you all next week. Well done. Have a fabulous rest of your evening. Take care. God bless you. Love you lots. Ciao.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Bless you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you.